It's the Treehouse.
What have the two of you been doing now that Pornhub has pulled out of Texas? Picked up knitting, exercising, maybe found another porn site to frequent?
Ex-hamster.
Going the hamster out. All right.
Yeah.
Because I saw a story the other day that in addition to the lovely headline writing at KPRC in Houston, which said Pornhub pulls out of Texas, but in their story, they actually mention how Pornhub is the second most popular porn website in the world. So naturally, I had to Google what's the number one. I assumed it was Pornhub. They're the one with everyone knows about. Turns out it's X videos. If anyone is curious, that's not the only tidbit of information that I'm going to offer you today. I've got other things that will help you out in your quest for more adult content.
Gotcha.
So yeah, what have you been doing? You in better shape now? You have like a new sweater you've knitted for a dog, or what's the deal? Or as Trey said, he's just gone over to Ex-Hamster, Raj.
I learned you can sleep for 8 hours. That's amazing.
That's the secret.
No, I was never I was never a big Pornhub guy, but I think it's ridiculous that they passed legislation in this state. But it doesn't. I mean, it's Texas, where you're like, Jesus says no to liquor on Sunday. So unless you're at Cowboy Stadium, then it's fine. Yeah. Jesus loves football and booze. But it's just why are you taking people's porn away? Like it's this generation. Like you're in a time now where everybody has access to porn. Like when I was a kid, like I talk about it on stage. Like we had to befriend somebody, whose parents had porn, and I'm like, they weren't good people. Like and you still had to make friends with them because they had it. It's like, yeah, my parents have porn. I'm like, of course they do, Tim. You have a neck tattoo and you're 11. It's like that makes sense. I would be surprised if they didn't.
The thinking behind the legislation is, and this is how it usually starts, is we got to protect the kids, right? Got to protect the kids. They shouldn't be seeing these things.
Right.
Whereas Pornhub's side of it is, look, this doesn't work. There are other states that have enacted similar laws, and all it did was it pushed people into the darker parts of the web where you really don't want them going. And, oh, by the way, we also think it infringes upon First Amendment rights.
Right.
Well, that's a legal battle I don't really want to step into because, look, at the end of the day, should kids be looking at porn? No. But when we all grew up, did we find a way? Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
And the internet generations now, they're going to find a way. No matter what. That doesn't mean you shouldn't try to do something, but like most pieces of legislation that seem to get passed these days, whether it's at the federal or the state level, can we at least pass something that just makes some sense? One of the interesting things to come out of this is now some people that may not have been as tech savvy before this was enacted are becoming so.
In general, the most ingenious group you'll ever find. Give me a pot smoker and just give him some weed and he's got to figure out a way to smoke it. They'll figure out a way. They'll find a can. They'll find
an apple.
A toilet paper roll, whatever. The group that I don't know if it's really ever been tested, but it may now, the most ingenious group may end up being guys who want to spank it and want to watch porn.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. All of a sudden Bubba, knows how, VPNs and how to get around stuff.
Yeah. Speaking of which, VPN searches in the state of Texas have jumped by more than 1,750% since Pornhub left the state of Texas.
In India, they're trying to ban all porn on the internet. So there is an actual office that was created. And I can't imagine whose job it is to search every porn site and then delete, make it where you can't log into it from a computer in India. So there's a whole office dedicated to banning all of the porn in the world.
Imagine
I don't know how long
walking
that's going to take.
Imagine walking around India with that on your ID as a government employee.
Yeah, can you imagine that? I mean, that guy, that's his job, so he has to literally watch all day long.
Like in the States, I guess the equivalent would be the FPI, Federal Porn and Investigation. I mean, I don't know. It just seems ridiculous.
Yeah, that's just, I mean, at some point it just becomes too much porn. that guy's job is like, God, every day. This is what I have to
Well, that's just it. Like there was like in addition to the top VPNs that I'll give you here in just a second. I mean, there are porn sites. I've read a couple of news stories where people have said, "Oh, I'm just going to this site now." I'm like, I haven't even heard of that site.
Yeah.
It's fascinating how different corners of the internet are illuminated when one goes dark.
Yeah, and when I think about the guy in India whose job it is, like when you first get that job, we're like, okay, here's what you have to watch porn all day long, and then you have to tell us the site and then ban it. And we're like, when you get that job, it's like getting a job at a pizza place. You're like, oh, pizza every day. This is gonna be awesome. By day 4, you're like, F pizza. This is awful. Like I can't eat anymore.
But at the same time, I bet his middle finger to right-click save is pretty worn out as well. He's just tired. Like he's in those 4 days, he's got enough stuff saved up to last him a lifetime. There is lots of big news going on in the world, so let's jump into the big old pile of stupid. Supreme Court's had a big week, especially when it comes to the state of Texas. The Supreme Court on Tuesday allowed the state of Texas to enforce, for now, a contentious new law that gives local police the power to arrest migrants. The conservative majority court, with 3 liberal justices dissenting, obviously, rejected an emergency request by the Biden administration, which said states do not have the authority to legislate on immigration, an issue the federal government has sole authority over. Texas Governor Greg Abbott hailed the court order, calling it clearly a positive development, though he acknowledged that the legal battle is not over. So while everyone likes to post and talk about, secede, Texas can't actually do that without, some serious ramifications. We can't unlike Pornhub, Texas can't just pull out of the United States. But for now, the Supreme Court is basically saying, you want to take over some federal responsibility because you don't think the feds are doing it right, then by God, do it. The thing I take issue with the most is if you're going to protect the border, right? You can't just focus on the Mexico border. You got to keep the Oklahomans out of here too.
But not the Mexicans or the Louisianans.
You got to pick your battles.
Okay.
Because at least Cajuns bring in boudin, and New Mexico will bring in some decorative stuff for your home. Oklahoma is just full of Oklahomans, and I know because I'm from there.
So Dan, there's a lot of self-loathing in that statement.
Yeah. That's what happens when your biological parents, when they give birth to you in the state of Oklahoma, Tulsa to be specific, and then they seem to make no attempts to find the little cute baby boy that they sent off into the hands of the state. I'm going to reject them as well. So no Oklahomans in Texas.
Not even their country loving and serving Coast Guard, because Oklahoma has its own Coast Guard station. That is a fact.
You know what, Raj? The Coast Guard has more than one responsibility.
The Red River. Where were you deployed?
Which is mostly dry.
What border did you serve on? Goddamn Red River.
The Red River Detachment of the United States Coast Guard. In other Supreme Court news, I knew that would go off the rails a little bit. The Supreme Court has declined to review the Dallas Strip Club ordinance that forces sexually oriented businesses to close between the hours of 2 and 6 a.m. So instead of hearing arguments, the Supreme Court did the ultimate talk to the hand kind of thing. It's like, no, we don't listen to that one. You figure out your own stuff at the local level. But the Supreme Court says it will not review a federal appeals court decision that allowed Dallas to begin enforcing an ordinance requiring, I don't know how to say that, strip clubs and other sexually oriented businesses to close between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. So that means the SOB's got to stay closed between 2 and 6 a.m. like it matters.
Well, it's just where's everyone going to go? Because those places are packed every night.
I'm just like, who's the two? I mean, like we joke about like the morning shift. Who's the 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. shift? Oh, what does that squad look like? That has got to be, you know what I mean? Like,
that is true. Yeah, I like at strip clubs we make fun of the day shift dancers, but yeah, what does the third shift look like?
What's the graveyard look like?
I think you found your answer in your question.
After a handle and an 8-ball, I guess it looks pretty good.
And that's the name of the strippers.
Next on the main stage, it is Handle.
8-ball, you're next. 8-ball, you're
8-ball, you're next. And of course, don't forget your shot specials.
Yeah, they're just doing God's work at that point. We're gonna close from 2 to 6 because you don't want to see these chicks that we're about to bring in.
It is 2 a.m., ladies and gentlemen. Time to bring the lights down just a lot lower. You know what? Just turn them off. Just turn them off altogether.
We're going from legs and eggs to sad and bad. Here we go.
From 2 to 6 a.m. It's the no light strip club. Trust me, you don't want to see. Just go by feel. How about that? You look online to see if the Oklahoma station of the United States Coast Guard sells T-shirts. Because I'd love to buy one that's one of those like Deepwater Rescue Team Oklahoma USCG.
There's 3 Oklahoma Coast Guard stations and a recruiting station. So you have Gans, Oklahoma, Salsa, Bethany, and then Oklahoma City has their recruiting station.
I feel like that would be the easy Coast Guard station because, like, if someone, well, I mean, if someone falls in the Red River, you just walk to the bank and go, there he is. He's right there.
The Coast Guard job just goes, stand up.
Exactly.
He's good.
I have saved more lives in the history of the Coast Guard than anyone ever by simply telling people to stand up.
It poses an interesting question. If your life was on the line, who do you trust more? The Oklahoma Coast Guard or the Cajun Navy?
I knew you were going to say that. Oh, who do I trust more, or who do I think is going to bring better snacks? I think I'm going to go with the Cajun Navy.
Yeah, Cajun Navy, as opposed to like you can't have real beer. The Cajun Navy's like, there's whiskey in the gumbo. Yeah, thank you, buddy.
Yeah, when the alcohol content is higher in the gumbo than it is the beer in Oklahoma, you bring on the Cajun Navy.
The Cajun Navy, you're going to keep going in circles, but it's going to be fun.
But you'll never drown. All right, it is time for Wrong Answers Only. Wrong Answers Only inside the Treehouse for Trey and Raj and myself, where I will read a headline or a quote or something like that, and I will intentionally leave a word or phrase blank to see if Trey and Raj can properly give the wrong answers. Okay? All right, gentlemen, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Time for your first Wrong Answer Only. Here we go. Jenny McCarthy remembers sorry. Jenny McCarthy says all the parties at the Playboy Mansion were full of blank. Jenny McCarthy says the Playboy parties were filled with blank. Give you guys a second to come up with an answer. That needs to be wrong. Jenny McCarthy says the Playboy parties were filled with blank. All right, here we go. Trey, we will start with you, sir.
It's the wrong answer is the one. I mean, everything I think of actually was probably there. I mean, it's like, a midget and a donkey. No, it might have been there.
For this particular quote, that is not the correct answer. Therefore, that is the wrong answer. So good job, Trey. Over to you, Raj. Jenny McCarthy says the Playboy parties were filled with blank.
I was going to go with Bill Cosby's latest line of nighttime vitamins.
Oh, that is a wrong answer. So good job. No, in actuality, Jenny McCarthy said the Playboy parties were filled with ugly old men. So no real shocker there.
She was just drunk and saw 4 Hefners. That's all she did.
Well, that's what happens when you invite the Cajun Navy.
It was first responders night.
Yeah. Oh, man. That's good. All right. Next one. Here we go. We got time for another one. We got time for another helping of wrong answers only. Here we go. Are you ready, gentlemen?
Mm-hmm.
25% of men are self-conscious about how their blank smell or smells. 25% of men are self-conscious. That was unintentional. That was premature.
Well, at least something over there is getting erect.
Yeah.
Anyway, 25% of men are self-conscious about how their blank smell or smells. So, Raj, we will start with you.
How they're, I don't want. That's just the no. Can it be like a regular game show? Can I pass?
I'll allow you to pass over to Trey. Trey,
yeah.
25% of men say they are self-conscious about how their blank smell or smells.
I'm gonna go with taint, Dan.
That's what I was gonna say. See, I didn't want to say that.
Why would you not want to say that? That is.
I can tell Trey. I was on the same wavelength, and I was like, Trey's gonna say it.
Yeah. That is correct because it is a wrong answer. No. 25. Yeah, Raj. So you were gonna say taint as well?
Yes.
All right. So you both get a ding. 25% of men are self-conscious about how their hands smell. Hands. Now, if I said 100% of men are self-conscious about how their taint smells, that obviously would have worked for you guys. Or I guess more accurately, it would have been 100% of men are self-conscious about how their blank smell. Then the answer would be taint. Yeah.
Hands. Interesting. Okay.
No. You guys never thought, Raj, you just did it. You guys never sniff your fingers just in case?
No, I'm
or is that only after they've been somewhere stinky?
Yeah, but I wash my hands regularly. I moisturize. I have cocoa butter for my hands for my moisturizing needs is the cocoa butter. I like that. And vitamin E oil. I do that for my cuticles.
And Trey, I know you moisturize, so I'm assuming you've got nice smelling hands.
Oh, that and just being in restaurant industry. I mean, I wash my hands all the time. So
yeah. So you have to moisturize, otherwise they would be cracked.
Oh yeah, moisture. Oh, absolutely.
I don't know.
Hand sanitizer is really bad.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. The alcohol.
Well, I mean, you could, as you know, working in the food industry, you could try a different approach. You could stick your hands directly into the fryer, so then your hands smell like fried food, and that might That might get you some more, some ladies. Hungry ladies, but ladies.
you'll
get curly pinky.
And you'll get those ladies from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m.
Visit us online at treehouseonair.com.